So, everyone's been screaming lately about wanting a remaster of Fallout 3. Now, don't get me wrong, I really want it too. But what if I told you that today, you can transform your game on PC from looking like this to looking like this? In this video, I'm going to show you some of the best and easiest to install graphical mods on Nexus, all of which are linked in the description below. Plus, I'll also highlight important things you need to be aware of, like alternative mods, unique installation requirements, or even complementary mods that you should also install. So, you're going to want to watch the whole video. Speaking of, if this video helps, please like and subscribe if you're new, with notifications if that is possible. With all that out of the way, here are some of the best Fallout 3 graphical mods out there. Let's start off with a lighting mod. Anybody who has ever modded Fallout 3 before has probably installed the Fallout lighting mod at some stage in their life. Now, Fallout is great and I love it. It does exactly what it sets out to do: remove that green tint which Fallout 3 is so well known for. In addition, it, quote, neutralizes indoor lighting, removes green fogging, and also water has been changed in most places. This mod is iconic and still works to this day. However, not everybody likes the look that Fallout provides, and others believe there are better non-E&B lighting mods out there. In that regard, let me give you another two options. Technically, I'll also be giving you a third in the next section, but I'll explain that in a second. First up is DC Moods, a non-E&B lighting mod based on Fallout that enhances the game's visuals and moods to feel more realistic and coherent by changing lighting, saturation, and image space effects. It also reworks the skies with a more bluish color and HD clouds, with the added benefit of removing that blinding, overexposed sky effect that is an issue with the base game. Though a lot of lighting mods do this as well. DC Moods makes a note of not changing other things like the weather system so that each region keeps its own unique weather, but it does make a concerted effort to especially change the mood of interiors. It also comes with optional files unique to both the Point Lookout and the Pit DLCs, which is a nice touch. Before we continue with the video, I'd love to talk about today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. Private Internet Access is a world-class virtual private network, or VPN for short, which hides your IP address and encrypts your internet connection to make it more secure. With over 30 million downloads and an excellent Trustpilot rating, it really does live up to that phrase, world-class. One of the biggest benefits of using Private Internet Access is that it works with all major streaming services like Netflix. This means you'll be able to access region-restricted movies and TV shows from all across the world, which may not otherwise be available in your country. Watching Netflix without private internet access is like paying for a meal but not getting your full order, so don't get caught out by not using it. Plus, private internet access is available for all platforms, including Windows, macOS, Android, and iOS. And they even have this awesome new feature where you can use one subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices at the same time. So even though I might have private internet access on my computer, I can still pick up my phone, pick a region, and easily turn on the VPN whenever I please. And thanks to private internet access, you all have the ability to obtain a very special offer. By clicking on the promo link in the description or the pinned comment, you can get an 83% discount on private internet access, plus an extra 4 months completely for free. So don't miss out, and a huge thank you to Private Internet Access for supporting my content. Now, let's get back to the video. Secondly, let's chat about Fallout 3 Realistic Wasteland Lighting, my personal favorite lighting mod. This too is a mod which overhauls the appearance of Fallout 3's external lighting conditions. In the words of the mod author, quote, "It's the same Fallout people have come to love, but enhanced with weather and lighting designed to mimic those of real life. In addition, the mod also changes the weather so that it's no longer location specific, so that it can be, for instance, sunny or overcast everywhere in the capital Wasteland. This mod has both a main game and Game of the Year edition. The latter, of course, changes the lighting and weather for the DLC as well, and it also strives to ensure the weather fits the mood in each DLC, in particular again for the Pit and Point Lookout. Now, while the mod author does recommend a manual installation, I have found using a mod manager works just fine. What's important, however, is that you do not enable both the ESPs that come along with the one mod file. Enable either FO3 Realistic Wasteland Lighting if you don't have the DLC, or FO3 RWRL Game of the Year if you do have the DLC. You only need one of these ESPs. Now keep in mind, a lot of these lighting mods, in particular Fallout and DC Moods, will make the nights much darker than normal. This is intentional, as many believe the nights are too bright in the vanilla game. If you do have an issue with this, however, these mods do have brighter night versions, or alternatively, you could install mods like the Pip-Boy Light mod, which increases the range of the Pip-Boy Light, making it easier to see. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to be using Realistic Wasteland Lighting for the most part, but pick the lighting mod that you prefer and let's move on. Number 2, let's install a weather mod. On Nexus, there are essentially two really well-known weather mods that you can choose between: Enhanced Weather and Dynamic Weather. Enhanced Weather is the most popular weather mod for Fallout 3, and what it does is simply add rain and snow to the game. What's great about Enhanced Weather is that it's compatible with a lot of lighting mods out there, including Fallout, DC Moods, and Realistic Wasteland Lighting. So you can enjoy the lighting effects of those mods when the weather is clearer, and also of Enhanced Weather when it rains or snows. The mod also contains a setting item allowing you to set the minimum and maximum duration of rain and snow, and the minimum and maximum duration of the times when it's not raining or snowing. There are even optional ESPs to make the rain and snow radioactive, to give you a sneak bonus during storms, to have wind, rain, and thunder sounds play when you're inside a building, which is always cool, and even to install higher performance, lower quality weather sounds if you are having FPS issues. The big issue with this mod, however, is that sometimes you might notice rain pass through buildings. This unfortunately is an issue with the base game and couldn't be fixed by the mod author. Additionally, it doesn't add all that many new weather variations to the game. It's just rain and snow. This is where the second weather mod comes in, Dynamic Weather. Honestly, Dynamic Weather is just incredible. In the words of the mod author, it, quote, presents a more natural, progressively changing weather system, featuring rainstorms, lightning storms, and even fog and sandstorms. The variety of weather types it has is truly phenomenal, like clear, light cloud, wasteland cloudy, light rain, urban cloudy, overcast, heavy rain, sandstorm, and fog. I'm alternating through a lot of these on the screen right now, so you can appreciate the diversity this mod has to offer. Plus, Dynamic Weather comes with a load of optional ESPs that add even more to the game, allowing you to customize it to your liking. First and foremost, if you have all the game's DLCs, there is a merged ESP allowing you to enjoy Dynamic Weather for both the base game and every DLC, and they're even customized to match the look and feel of each DLC where possible. Second, there is a dynamic sneak bonus ESP, allowing you to get various degrees of sneak bonuses depending upon the time of the day and even the active weather type. Then there is the Night Eye Edition at third, which gives you a nice in-between of vanilla night brightness and Dynamic Weather's default darker night. At fourth is the Rain ESP, which takes the rain meshes and textures from Enhanced Weather and improves them, like by ensuring the sky doesn't get too bright. If you use this ESP, you need to make sure that you also have Enhanced Weather installed. The fifth optional ESP is for sandstorms, which adds sand and dust particle effects to the sandstorm weather types, and there is even a version which inflicts armor and health damaging effects when sandstorms are active. At sixth is the Weather Machine ESP, which gives you a device that allows you to completely control and customize the weather and climate while in the game. And finally, the last optional ESP is a green tint remover, which very subtly removes Fallout 3's iconic green tint. Now let's talk about the challenges with Dynamic Weather. The installation is a bit more tricky as you need to install the ESPs manually instead of directly through Nexus. If you have a mod manager like Vortex, this is as simple as dragging and dropping the ESP file into the mod manager. You'll also need to closely follow the suggested load order on the Nexus page. Auto sorting with loot will simply not work, and if your ESPs are in the wrong order, some will not function properly. And then there is the big fact that unfortunately, Dynamic Weather just does not play nicely with other lighting mods, including Fallout, DC Moods, and Realistic Wasteland Lighting. The whole point of Dynamic Weather is not just to change the weather itself, but also for each weather effect to give you unique lighting and atmosphere. This means that if you want to enjoy all the weather types that dynamic weather provides, you have to be content with the lighting of the default clear or cloudy weather types as well. So if you don't know which of these lighting and weather mods that you should install, let me give you a little bit of advice. If you want arguably the most lore-friendly, apocalyptic-looking Fallout 3 that has a load of weather variations, go with just dynamic weather and enhanced weather. However, if you want a clean, slightly more colourful looking game that also rains and snows, then install Enhanced Weather and pick either Fallout, DC Moods, or Realistic Wasteland lighting. Next up, let's tackle Fallout 3's Flora. Yes, the game actually does have Flora, it's just a little bare bones is all. This is where FO3 Flora Overhaul comes in. It does exactly what it says on the box, completely overhaul the Flora in the game. What's even more awesome is that this mod provides you with several choices depending upon how you actually want the flora and trees to look like. This will be an entirely personal preference, of course, but let me describe and show you what each option does. First, there is the Dead Edition, which is the most lore-friendly version of the mod in my opinion, adding 7 new dead trees, new ground covers, very large trees for a more forested feel, and 4K grass textures. This one is my personal favourite, as it's the most consistent with the vanilla flora in the game. It just gives it a bit of extra love. I'd highly recommend trying this version first. However, if you'd prefer something a little bit more lush, the second option is the Forested Edition. This version replaces 7 of the default trees with lush versions, implements a much more colourful and fertile landscape, has 7 more ground covers with lupins and ferns, and adds new ground LODs. This one is obviously the least lore-friendly, but the benefit is that it makes your game very pretty, probably gives it the most visually noticeable overhaul, and apparently it has the least clipping problems of all the versions. Plus it pairs very nicely with the Fallout lighting mod if you did choose it, as the mod author tweaked the saturation with Fallout in mind. Keep in mind though that Forested Edition also requires you to make some changes to your ini files so the game has more lush grass types, and the instructions for this can be found on the mod page. Then we have the third option, Total Devastation. This is pretty much the version that would best reflect the capital Wasteland if the bombs just dropped. There aren't any lush trees whatsoever. 4 of the default trees are replaced with larger and taller dead trees, and 4K grass textures are also included. In the opinion of the mod author, this edition doesn't look good with sunny weather and blue skies, and so recommends either a lighting mod with very muted colors or simply using the base game's lighting with a green tint. So with that being said, I suggest using this with dynamic weather, since that one provides more muted colors and tones. And finally, we have the light version. I'm going to quickly skip over this one, as the mod author says it's outdated and the other versions are better, but this version does replace 2 of the default trees with lush varieties, implements new ground covers, and has a tad more fertile landscape than vanilla. I would only recommend this version if you are genuinely having performance issues with all the others, but I honestly believe that won't be the case for the most of you. So as mentioned, I personally prefer the Dead Edition, so that's what you're going to be seeing for the rest of this video. Now, if you do experience crashing with this mod installed, you need to ensure that your game has the large address aware enabler added, and ideally, a bunch of other performance mods installed as well. If you don't, you're in luck. In the description below, I've linked an old mod video of mine that tells you exactly which performance mods that you need to install. Admittedly, this video is slightly out of date as I made it before the Epic Games version released, but it should get you on the right track. If you would like to see an updated Fallout 3 performance modding guide from me, just let me know in the comments below. But let's continue with the rest of the video. Now, we need to tackle more of Fallout 3's textures, so the 4th mod on this list is NMC's Texture Pack. A truly iconic mod, NMC's Texture Pack is a global texture pack that replaces the large majority of in-game graphics with high-resolution, real-life based equivalents. I don't think it's an over-exaggeration to say that this is a must-have mod for Fallout 3. Specifically, it changes textures for roads, landscapes, trees, rocks, vehicles, buildings, litter, interiors, and even medium to large-size objects like toolboxes, Nuka-Cola vendors, chairs, cupboards, and more. In addition, it comes with 4 different versions to suit the specs of your PC: Light, Performance, Large, and Maximum. All versions have the same number of textures, but just render them at different resolutions, from 512 by 512 for the light version, up to 2048 by 2048 for the maximum version. Honestly, I think most of you will be fine with the maximum or large version, but at the very least others are there should you need to install them. But again, you will need to make sure the large address aware enabler is added, and I'd also recommend the Fallout 3 tick fix. Both again are in that performance video I mentioned. There are, however, a couple of downsides to this mod. First, it doesn't change absolutely all textures, like for the sky, water, NPCs, weapons, effects, creatures, the Pip-Boy, and other objects. However, this is completely fine. Your lighting mod has already changed the sky for you. I'll cover an NPC mod in a second, and there are even many other well-known mods which improve the look of these other objects. I could even cover some of them in future videos, so let me know if you're interested in the comments. Secondly, unfortunately, the mod does not cover the DLCs. While you still can safely run the mod while playing DLCs, you simply won't notice any changes to the textures unless those textures are reused from the base game, to which there are a fair few to be fair. Now, if you do decide to use NMC's texture pack, the mod author highly recommends for you to install FO3 NMC's pre-generated LOD, which will make distant objects and landscapes tie in more accurately with NMC's textures. That mod also requires you to install FO3 LOD GEN, which similarly will generate LODs for objects in the distance, in order to better reflect the mods that you have installed. TLDR, these mods make it so that your distant objects and terrain will actually match NMC's textures. Now, I'll be honest here, the installation process for these mods isn't as simple as the others, and in my opinion, they provide you a less noticeable benefit. I'm not going to bother doing it for my game, but if you'd like to, the links are in the description below. And finally, the last graphics mod for this video, Fallout 3 Redesigned, formerly known as Project Beauty. This mod has one purpose, to improve the appearance of NPCs. The mod author attempts to do this by redesigning their facial structures and removing awkward skin tones to make them look more realistic and to better fit their personality. Now, this one will again come down to personal preference. You might not agree with all the changes made to every single NPC in the game, but as a whole, I do believe it does a great job and helps ensure that NPC faces look a little less rigid and a bit more appealing. The mod comes in two versions, Standard and HD, and of course, I strongly recommend for you to install the latter. The HD version comes with eyelashes, new high-resolution skin textures, and even some custom hairstyles, so you don't want to miss out on that. Plus, I think most of you will have a PC strong enough to handle those improved textures. Now, keep in mind when installing this mod, it will likely conflict with any other mod that edits NPCs. The mod author also recommends to put the mod's plugins very early in your load order, so that any gameplay altering mods will override Fallout 3 Redesigned. The mod also has some compatibility patches which you should install if you are using mods like the updated unofficial Fallout 3 patch, which you should be using, March Mutant mod, Fallout Wanderers Edition, Fook 2, and Tailored to Wastelands. The links to these mods are all on the Nexus page. Now, if you do want to use a body mod as well, the standard edition of Redesigned will work fine with most of them, but the HD version's body skin textures may conflict with textures from other body mods. And that's it, Wastelanders, some of the best Fallout 3 graphical mods out there. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourselves, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.